And we have background music. And this is copying because we're late for the stream. But we are here. And things are happening. And we're excited about it. Custom RTMP, go. Save. An error occurred. I don't want to hear about errors. I want solutions. This is bad. Come on. Why is it getting errors? Save. Is it going to work this time? I don't know. That's it. We're working. We're good. All right. We're live everywhere. I can bring this down a bit. It's a little too loud. I can turn off this camera because we're not ready for it. But hey, we're live, and we're looking a little different. Just a little bit different. Lots going on here. Lots going on here. A little royalty-free. Do we leave the royalty-free music on in the background? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Let's bring it down. One of the reasons that you heard music is because I am able to stream by Bluetooth, which was something I could do before. But now I can have a USB. What's going on? That's not interference I want. Occasionally I hear these things, and I don't like it. Okay. A little bit of, what is this? Chapstick. I need chapstick. If you're watching for the first time, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. This is Ask a Traffic Cop. That's time when we go on the internet to answer your traffic and police questions. We do it for an hour. This is not working. Oh, no, I didn't want to shift there. Yeah, shift. I'm moving one thing, it's moving everything. Apparently, you should loosen the mounts before you try pushing and pulling on things. Now, if you're watching on Instagram, I can make this a little lower. No, I can't. Bear with me. I moved everything. Everything got moved before the show because I'm changing the way I do things. Trying to make a better product for y'all. Maybe that's better. I'm just adjusting the camera for Instagram. It's like all this space above my head. But yes, this is Ask a Traffic Cop. I'm a cop who works in traffic. And guess what? We're going to answer your traffic and police questions as we do every day in the goal to make the road safer for everyone. Yeah, it's not just about it's answering questions, but we're also trying to dispel rumors. We want you to know the real deal. All of the we want you to understand what the laws are. We want you getting tickets for stuff and things that you could have avoided if you just had someone explain it to you. So that's what we're here for. Rollo says, good morning, and good morning to you. We're doing stuff and things. We have CJ in the room with us, and CJ is helping to transfer comments and questions from the chat into a place that I can actually share that information, like this. Here's the question. It says, what is the decibel allowed to have on exhaust? Can you put aftermarket exhaust in the GTA? So first of all, laws governing vehicles is generally a provincial law, a provincial act, the Highway Traffic Act, that governs it. And in the act, there's standards that are set. Now, my understanding is 74 decibels is the maximum permitted at idle for an automobile. And it could be higher for motorcycles, but that's the deal. It's going to be that's 74 decibels. Now, let's take an example of a stock vehicle. Can you get charged for having a loud exhaust with a stock vehicle? Yeah, because driver behavior or defect could cause an issue with the exhaust, and as a result, you could be making too much noise. When I say behavior, it means like you redline to do 40K. That's not reasonable. You're going to get a ticket for unnecessary noise, or you could get a ticket for unnecessary noise. So that's the thing. You got to know that anything you do through behavior could take a legal pipe and make it illegal. But if you take something that's a straight pipe, has no muffler, you remove your resonators, those are all things that you're doing to modify and making them illegal. An aftermarket pipe could be illegal if it's well above or creates noise on average well above what's permitted. All right. But I hope that answers your question. If not, ask again, ask more, we do this all the time. It's not a one and done thing. What is this? Cops stop foreign cars with modifications on exhaust. How about classic cars with big blocks? So again, we're on the same theme of loud exhausts. If your vehicle is making unreasonable loud noise, then it's unreasonable. Now, older classic muscle cars may predate the requirements for emissions. So if it doesn't require a muffler, it doesn't require a muffler. If they're doing burnouts and ripping up the road and revving high, they're still creating unnecessary noise through their behavior. And we're going to enforce whatever it is that needs enforcing. There seems to be a belief that we pick and choose and we only go after those who are choosing to modify those Japanese cars or cheap cars or affordable cars. No, all cars that violate are subject to inspection, and all cars that violate are subject to charges. But I love that there's such a belief that it's only us that they're after. It's the man is coming to get us, and no, it's just not the fact. Just not what's happening. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, Vehicle Valley, thank you, Jace, for jumping in. Oh, and by the way, cool thing that I can share with you. Let's see here. I want to get my volley on. Chase is gonna like this. Chase is a regular contributor. Let's see if we've got we don't have any audio volleys in here right now, but let's replay a volley that was played before, just because I want to demo how this works.
I tagged you in the comments of a TikTok video, but it's of a driver going down Yonge Street who's stuck in traffic, and it's because of a police car is parked in a lane of traffic with its lights. That
is a digital Bluetooth sending of the audio that came through volley. So if you are watching and you want to share, I think that sound is the Bluetooth kicking on or kicking off. If you want to share a video or a voice message with us, you can leave a volley by going to trafficcop.ca and using the link to join us on Volley. It's a community group that we have, and you can chat. Try and be as active as possible, but it doesn't always work. Okay, Jacob has a dad joke. We'll leave that for later. We have Blake, who has a question. Says, on a motorcycle, is using a hand signal a valid replacement for using a signal/blinker or signal intent to change lanes or turn? Yes, as long as it's daytime. At nighttime, you have to have signals. You can't hand signal at night. No one will see you. And Leo wife, my wife is watching. What do you think of the new look? Well, speaking of which, does everyone notice what the new look is? There's so many minimal things or tiny things that are going on here. Curious to know what you think. There's obviously, I can move this chair out of the way because it's currently unoccupied. I don't need the chair in frame. But we've got lots and lots going on. Not only have we changed some audio equipment, we've changed a little bit of everything. And I leave it for you to pick it out and figure out what's going on. What did we do? And what are we still doing? And when we have someone sitting next to me, you'll see even more. I think I gave a hint with that next to me thing. Okay. We want to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team before we get too deep into questions and answers, because I forgot entirely to talk about it yesterday, and I'm supposed to talk about it. It's one of the things it's like on the list of things to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it right now. Vision Zero Enforcement Team is a group of dedicated officers that go out into different areas each day in the city, and they're looking for drivers who choose to engage in, dangerous driving behavior that's known to lead to serious injury and death on our roads. So what do we do about it? Well, they're going to go look for people who are speeding, driving aggressively, driving distracted, and driving impaired. And what do? No hugs are issued, I guarantee you. It is tickets, tickets, and tickets. No warnings, no hugs, just tickets. Why? Because nothing changes behavior like a ticket. People say, well, I'll just keep doing what I do. Well, okay, eventually the ticket's going to either get you suspended or your insurance will be prohibitive and in terms of the cost. So it's going to correct itself eventually. Hopefully people get one ticket and change their driving behavior forever. That's the goal, because we want to make the roads safer. It's not about tax collecting, as so many people say. They're just out here to get the working person's money. Okay, if you choose to engage in the behavior that results in tickets, you are choosing to give away that money. You could save yourself a ton of cash and time and insurance costs. Just don't drive like I can't say it. Don't drive like that. I almost said something like, yeah. So where are they today? Because that's usually the next question. That's usually the spiel that I give. So today's 23 and 33 division, that's the neighborhoods of Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Parkwoods, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills, and that's just to name a few. Obviously, there are neighborhoods that cover the entire city. I pick a few because we have a maximum number of characters that I can list in Twitter, and that's where I post that every day. So generally after 7 a.m., on Twitter, and then on a rolling schedule on Instagram and on Facebook, we post where Vision Zero Enforcement Team members are going to be for that day. Their location is dictated based on where the need is. Analysts determine where they're needed, and then they sprinkle them like sprinkles. Like like fairy dust. I don't know, like good stuff. They make good. They put them where they need to be the most. The magical helping hands that go and augment the work being done by the divisional officers, doing it every single day. This is just more hands because what is it? More hands, light work. Yeah, I like that. Okay, back to questions that you have that we can answer. Let's do it. We have Pervin who says, good morning. And I said your last name because I don't want to mispronounce your first name. But good morning to you. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Let's see here. Does the speed camera and red light camera affect your insurance, and can it give you demerit points? So automated speed enforcement does not. That doesn't mean it won't be unfortunate, and you won't have to pay anything. You will. It's owner's responsibility, so the registered owner will have to pay a fine. If you don't pay the fine, you won't be able to renew your license, or at least not your license plates. You won't have the car legally on the road. But in terms of having it affect your insurance premiums, it should not, because it's not against the driver, and it's the driver's license that is going to change your rates ultimately. Okay. Oh, Holly Smith has a question. What are the laws regarding speeding to a hospital when in labor or while in labor? My other half doesn't seem to believe me that speeding is speeding. Well, you can tell your other half, Holly, that speeding is speeding. And if I were to catch you going to the hospital, or him driving you to, or them driving you to the hospital and in excess of the speed limit, putting lives at risk, not only endangering mom, but the unborn baby and the driver and everybody else on the road, they're going to get stopped. They're going to get charged, and you're going to be going to the rest of the way by ambulance because I don't know if you're truly in an emergency situation, that is the way you should be transported, with care on board. I can't tell you how many people have had their babies delivered roadside because of poor planning. So tell him to get a plan on, and also tell him not to do what I did, which said to my wife, "Nah, you're not in labor. You got time." Yeah. She was right. I was wrong. You heard it. You heard it here first, folks. I did not know what was going on with her body. She did. But you know what? Having a plan is huge, and giving yourself lots. It better to be early than be late. So when things start, and if you don't have a doula or someone you can talk to, maybe start making a slow trip to the hospital, because that's a safer one. Guaranteed arrival. That's what it's all about. But yes, tell your husband that they are absolutely in the wrong. They don't get off speeding tickets just because someone's pregnant. Although it would be a good excuse. Like if I could always, if you could just say, I have to pee. Not to equate childbirth with bathroom, but I can't tell you how many people I've stopped that say, I'm speeding because I have to go to the bathroom. Isn't that an emergency? Well, no, that's poor planning. Anyway, I'm now in trouble with so many people. All right. And Glenn Jarvis wants to remind everybody, he's coming through Facebook, says, remember, driving is a privilege. You're not a right, or it's not a right. You're in control of tons of metal that can kill. Treat it with respect. And yes, 100%. I 100% agree with you. And most people don't get it. They just don't get it. They think that they have a right. And they get upset when we give them tickets because we're infringing on their rights to travel and move on four-wheeled giant devices that could put people in harm's way. What is this? Blake has a question. All right. Question, when safely passing a vehicle, if there is a left turn lane, can I use the left turn lane to pass, or should I cross the yellow line beyond the left turn lane? So if there's a left turn lane and you're using it to pass and someone decides to utilize that left turn lane for turning, you're going to create a collision, which, regardless of who's at fault, will be a collision. So don't do things in areas where those things shouldn't be done because you're looking for trouble. Is it against the law to cross the line and pass? No. And unless there's a sign saying you can't pass, then it's not a regulated situation. It could be unsafe, and you'd still be responsible for the movement that caused the collision, and you could result in charges. But passing on a solid line is better than passing at an intersection across turning lanes where it's bound to have something going on other than going straight. It's just a managing a risk. That's my take on it. But we should take this on up with Sergeant Campbell. I want to flag this one that we're going to come back and talk about it again, because I assume he's going to agree with me, but I can't predict and guarantee that he's going to agree with me. So we'll find out. I should ask AI. I've been playing with ChatGPT, and I got to tell you, I'm impressed. It is some cool stuff. I'm going to do a video series of ChatGPT and traffic safety. It's pretty funny. Let's see here. Jacob's taking off to do some stuff and things. And my wife says, thank goodness this is being recorded because I have openly told everybody that she is correct. And I admit she bugs me about that whole leaving for the hospital on time thing all the time. I did not speed, however. Anyway. What's being done about extremely bright lights not aimed properly? The problem is getting worse. Well, it's many problems. It's not a problem. It's an individual car and person installing generally aftermarket lights that is not focusing and adjusting their lights properly. And it is your requirement to properly adjust your lights. So if you're putting aftermarket stuff in, you've got to change all those little screws that change where it aims. Otherwise, you're going to get stopped and get a ticket. Do we stop people and give tickets for that? Sure we do. That's part of policing, part of traffic enforcement. And it's done all the time. So it's not a growing problem, it's just a problem. And you may be noticing it more because the intensity of the newer modern light bulbs are greater, but it's not new. Okay. What's this? Oh, we got Richard who says good morning. And Lisa is coming in through YouTube, says, morning, Constable Shapiro. Really enjoy your podcast. You know what would be great when you have guests join you for both to be on screen, able to view each other, and having your discussion. Guess what? There's stuff going to happen. We've possibly, based on your influence, changed everything. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens when people join me, and then you can gloat. Have you ever had to deliver a baby roadside? I haven't, but many of my colleagues have. One of them in particular is a former paramedic, so he was good to go. No issues, but many officers have been in a situation where you've got to help. But I would be calling for an ambulance to attend and take someone if it wasn't time. If it wasn't go time, but it was time that they thought it was go. Because what's going to happen is they're going to likely do the same thing they were doing when I caught them at the next stop because they're freaking out. It's a stressful situation. So take the stress, give it to the people who are trained to drive, and leave a paramedic by your side to get you the medical care you need while you're being transported. Are you going to try and climb through?
I'm going to try and climb through.
I got a message from Lisa who says they've got a great idea. When you have guests join you, you should both be on screen, able to view each other and having your discussion.
What a great idea.
It's a great idea. And then we're just going to get Sarge set up here. And then look at that. And then you've got, let's see if your audio is working.
Nope.
No, that's not the audio I'm talking. Yeah, that's your headphones, a separate dial.
So headphones are, I can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Go up a little bit.
How's that? Oh, that's my dial. How's that?
That's better.
Okay.
Well, that's really loud.
No, just can't be capped. No. Okay, but you're hearing it now. We're good. And now we've got two different cameras to look at, but we're still here. In fact, we can even do this.
We can see each other now.
It's wild. But then I feel like I'm really turning away from the camera. But we're here, and I've got so many things to multitask and do. But because I can't read off the screen if I'm not looking at the screen. We got lots of stuff going on here. So, what do you think, Lisa? Do you approve? Is this good? Is this good for you? I hope so. And Vehicle Valley, Jace says, "Good morning, Jace. Have you tested out? Someone send me a voice volley so I can play it. I'm just so excited about the Bluetooth connection. So, we're constantly developing and improving the show. We're trying to make things better because better show for you means better for everybody. How are we doing that? We put a new soundboard in, so that's giving us some new connections. We're now all digital all around, no analog to digital and back and forth. We're going all digital all the time. It's awesome. We added the Bluetooth connection so we can play volleys instead of like holding it up to the microphone. I think that's pretty cool. We got two cameras instead of one. That's awesome. And we changed the angle of my desk.
Yeah, so we look like we're actually talking to each other now.
It's weird.
Normally we're, dodging in behind monitors and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, always trying to like look around to see what's going on. And then you were just staring at the back of a monitor.
I was, yeah.
All right, let's go to a question. Oh, there was a question I pinned because I wanted to get your take on it. Okay, when safely passing a vehicle, this is going to pull it up on screen. When safely passing a vehicle, if there is a left turn lane, can I use the left turn lane to pass, or should I cross the yellow line beyond the left turn lane? So I had my opinion on that, but I wanted to get your opinion on that.
So when approaching an intersection, a left turn lane is specifically there to make a left turn. So you can enter the intersection on it, but obviously the left turn lane has no continuation on it. So no, it would be improper use of that lane for sure.
My big thing was that there could be someone, while you're making that turn, choosing to use the left turn lane or enter it, and you cause a collision. It's a bad news situation.
Exactly. So depending on the intersection, you're through lanes, and you have to remain within those through lanes. There's nothing.
I just making sure you're speaking into it because it's cutting out.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, they're sensitive. One second, I got to tighten the screw. Maybe you can tighten that one. They should both be tight because the microphone just sits there and slides. And
there's nothing in the HCA that says you can't change lanes within an intersection, but if you do so, you have to make sure it is done safely. It is not recommended to change lanes within an intersection because nobody, all four directions, will know what you're planning on doing and which way you're moving. They assume you're going straight through, but when you start changing lanes, people can, not know what's going on, not know if they can step out onto the roadway, cross at the pedestrian crosswalk, all sorts of different
no one can predict what's going to happen next, and it leaves too much room for error that you would have essentially caused. Hey, just a question. If a cop causes an accident, we don't say accident, they're collisions, in a car crash, what would happen? So is a collision, police officers at fault, or caused it, what happens next?
So if we cause a collision, a couple of things happen. First of all, it is a collision investigation that occurs. If it reaches a minor level, it is non-reportable to the ministry, we still take a report. This is our asset becoming involved in in a collision. So we want to report. We want an internal report. If that collision causes injury, or if there is charges to be laid, that can be laid. So a supervisor will come out, usually a traffic supervisor, me, will come out, and I will do the internal investigation at the scene to see what our member did to cause this collision. If they are at fault for a collision, not only can they be subject to the Highway Traffic Act charges, but internal discipline under the Police Services Act as well. We get an awful lot more. We get exceptions to the Highway Traffic Act that we cannot take for granted. We have to travel, and we have to get to where we're going safely, and we can't hurt members of the public. Now, if we did injure a member of the public, and it meets a threshold as defined by the SIU, which is an independent investigation agency, may be called in to also investigate the collision to see if it meets the mandate that criminal charges should be laid.
So the concept that we just take care of our own and we never hold any of our own people responsible doesn't really cut it?
No. In fact, we're held to a higher standard.
I think that's one of the most common myths is that police can do whatever they want and they're never held accountable. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. I think we're the most scrutinized industry, even more so than doctors and lawyers.
Yep. And you know what? Every police officer is on camera everywhere they go because everybody wants to take a video on their cell phone of us. So,
not to mention the fact that we put them on ourselves and we have them in our cars because we want to have the best evidence to defend ourselves when we're doing the right thing, accused of doing the wrong thing. And if we're doing the wrong thing, we want to catch that being done.
Yep, absolutely. Our cars have AVL, so automatic vehicle locators. We know speed, time, location, stuff like that, and everything's on video. And the video gets triggered as a part of a collision. So when we're involved in a collision, you have video of it.
Oh, yeah. We activate our lights, it starts recording. We have G-force indicators. There's all sorts of reasons, and it can also be remotely controlled. It's a really amazing system. If I get my windshield tinted with an 80% film, is it illegal?
Your windshield?
I don't have... Do I have a new sound effects?
Why in the world would you ever want to reduce your ability to see out of your car through the windshield of all places?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
Well, that and it's totally illegal. You can't have any windshield film. You can't add tint to your windshield, period. In fact, anything 2017 or newer, you can't even put a sunstrip on it.
Yeah. So 2016 and older vehicles that were manufactured, they were allowed to have that little blue sunstrip at the top if it came from the manufacturer that way.
There may be even, I mean, this is a big thing that I've got to read more on, but I always thought AS1
Did
was
you
the
say
only
moron?
class. Moron. I said moron. Oh, I'm going to use that more on. The AS1 was what I thought every glass in Ontario had to be, and apparently you can have other shades, which is AS2. Like there's certain ones that are permissible, which are different levels of clarity. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I have to read more. And I said I was going to do it. I haven't done it yet. Let me delete that one. And then, do you have to identify yourself if you did not commit a crime? So this is a scenario where the police have pulled, have stopped you and said, "Hey, who are you?" Do you have to identify yourself?
Depends on the circumstances. Depends on what's being investigated. Specific to traffic, if you're investigating something as a pedestrian, cyclist, or motorist, or operating any other vehicle, yeah, you do. There's an obligation to do it, and you can be charged for not.
Yeah, so if you're the driver or passenger of a motor vehicle, well, driver anytime because we've confirmed that you're licensed, but as a passenger, you're being investigated for not wearing your seatbelt, for instance, or another offense related to the HTA, or LLA, or Cannabis Control Act, or like, there's a whole bunch of times when you are obligated to provide identification. Even as a cyclist, when we talked about it yesterday, if you're a cyclist, you're required to identify yourself, although you're not required to provide a piece of identification. You have to satisfy the officer as to your identity.
Right, but it has to be identification that's satisfied. I have to be able to corroborate it.
Yes.
If you just say your name is Bob,
I was going to say Bob. We both know Bob.
Bob is not good enough. I need to know who you are, when you were born, and be able to identify you specifically. Because if you're using somebody else's name, then that person will get a ticket, and that's not good as well.
I pulled over a guy years ago in 12th Division when I was working there, and I pulled him over because their headlights weren't on. And as the investigation continued, it turns out that the driver was maybe intoxicated, under the influence of alcohol, but they didn't have their driver's license with them. So they gave me all their name and date of birth and all that information, and I was able to pull up a driver's license that was suspended. And I was still in the investigating stage, so I said to him, that driver's license is suspended. He says, I can't believe my brother didn't renew his license. He had never, this guy that gave me his brother's information, and the person in question had never been licensed. But just goes to show you that there's a reason we have to investigate, because and we have to be satisfied with that investigation.
Yeah, not only do we want to charge the person that's doing something wrong, but we don't want to charge the wrong person
For sure.
and have them have to go through the troubles of getting that investigated.
Oh, is it illegal to fly a drone over a highway? I can't seem to find any information on it. Well, here's the thing. You, as a drone operator, should really be familiarizing yourself with the rules. Depending on the size and weight of your drone, you're going to need to get a license to operate that. You may also be required to get a flight plan logged if it's for commercial purposes or of a certain size. And generally speaking, the easiest way to go, and all the requirements are on if you Google it or look at any of the sites that are providing information, you can't go over people or vehicles. Look, I got two hands. Double vision. We're waiting for the delay. It's weird. It's weird. Okay. Simple things that are entertaining. Yes. But yeah, you can't be over vehicles or people, and there's limits to that. So you need to know the rules. Do it. Check with a number of the schools that are teaching the information.
Yeah. Additionally to that, there's NAVCAN has rules of flying close to airports, aerodromes, anywhere helicopters land. Planes take off or have the ability to do. So there's an awful lot of rules, and yes, you can get into an awful lot of trouble, and that's a federal law. So the federal laws usually have a big penalty.
Yeah, and laws should have big penalties. They help you remember not to break them again. Are police allowed to smoke in their cruisers? Saw an officer doing it. We're not supposed to smoke in our vehicles. It's a workplace. There's actually laws under the Smoke Free Ontario Act. And I think there's even stickers on our cars that say that don't smoke in it.
Yep. And not only is it against the law, because it's a workplace, but it's against our procedures.
Yes.
So should they? No. And as an ex-smoker, it's disgusting.
Oh, I can't drive a car. I cannot get, if I was assigned a car and it was a smoking car, somewhere where someone had smoked, I'd have to come back in and say I can't drive it because I get an instant headache and I would just be miserable for my entire shift. It's a workplace problem.
I got to tell you, Sean, ex-smokers, yeah, they're the worst.
Yes, we are. I don't even know how I ever smoked. That's the truth. I have no idea. All right, what do we have? We have a question from Richard. ID requirement, definitely in the case of a pedestrian using center lane as a walkway. Pedestrians are a funny thing. When it comes to identification and requirements, because as a pedestrian, there is no requirement to provide an identification card when being investigated. It's just there's different grades of things, but it's very interesting. So Richard was saying, they need to have, but I don't think they do as a pedestrian.
So it depends on what they're being investigated for. If I found somebody walking up the middle of a highway, I would be a little worried about their mental state.
And that is a totally different situation.
Yeah.
It's not just, we're not talking about jaywalking, and jaywalking really isn't even a thing.
Not here. Maybe in the U.S. it is.
Yes. And the origins of jaywalking are that whole J concept is a derogatory term that comes, I think, out of England.
Oh, I have no idea.
I Googled it once. We should ask questions from AI. I'm loving this AI business. Okay. Vehicle value is enjoying the fact that the guy that I charged for the impaired outed himself as not being the right person when he responded. Yes.
You know what? It's not the smart ones we catch.
This is true. Let's see. Driving with no license driving with no license, period, is bad. Driving impaired with no license is plain stupid. But driving impaired is stupid. So I don't know. Okay, moving on. Blake wants to see a live stream a setup of the live stream. I had pictures on Instagram at one point of just sort of what it looks like, and obviously when I clean my desk, I'll have to make a new one.
Yeah, you have some cleanup to do first.
Well, I got stuff.
And we are moving.
This is true, but I should do one before. I gotta capture this forever. Remember, Shap, traffic complaints from you and Sergeant I asked last night. Let's go back. What is it? Traffic pet peeves of Sean and Sergeant. Yes, you did ask that, Michael. What is your traffic pet peeve as an officer out there enforcing the law?
My pet peeves? Well, I have a couple of things I think are really, really...
I have lots.
Yeah. You know what? Each individual officer may focus on something that, they think is important. We're all out there trying to stop, the big four, the speeding, the aggressive, the impaired, all those types of things that hurt people. And we often have to go to collisions that we see an awful lot of hurt, and we see an awful lot of sadness because of what other people are doing to the rest of society. So I like to try and stop that, because I don't like going when people are injured, when people are losing their property. No matter what happens, if you get in a collision, if you're the victim of it, it's going to take an awful lot of effort and time to get your car fixed, to go through insurance. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you have a deductible. You have all that stuff. So
I categorize the group of things that bother me as the selfish things. I'm more important. I've got somewhere to be, so I speed or I drive aggressively. All the big four, actually, where it's me. There are all these selfish choices that drivers make that ultimately put lives at risk. And any of those things are my pet peeves. But the ones that are in particular, the people who drive.
Outside of that, do you have any?
Well, they're all kind of inside that. But I mean, I have if I can't see in a vehicle at the tinted window business, I have issues. I have issues with modifications that are unsafe, but they're all these are all. When I talk about entitlement and people putting lives at risk, it really does cover everything. Because if you're choosing to make your car look cool and that puts lives at risk, well, that falls back to my entitlement thing. So that sort of bundles it all up in a nice little package.
Tinted headlights,
taillights,
taillights,
loud stereos. Apparently, I'm an old guy now, and loud stereos really bother me because I want to listen to my podcast or my 680 News or News Talk 1010 in peace. I don't want to hear your music and my windows and your windows rattling. So that's a pet peeve. Loud exhausts are a big pet peeve. I just don't like anything anymore.
Grumpy old man.
I'm a grumpy old dude. But
and you know what's funny? Because we're both car people.
Mm-hmm.
We're both motorcycle people. We're both motorized vehicle people. And I have an awful lot of fun with all my toys. And I try and do it properly, though.
Yeah. It's all about doing it, not only properly because the rules say so, but properly because it doesn't negatively impact everyone around you, because then they hate you and negative things happen. Like they call the police and they get other people involved, and they just like, you don't want your neighbors hating you. And the people, I saw a video on TikTok where the guy remotely starts his car after whining about the fact that the police are like checking him out and hanging around. That was the loudest truck I've ever heard. His remote starter came in. It sounded like a Formula car starting. It was ridiculous. And this is someone who just thinks that they're important, and they're not. Or and who does that to their car? Someone who wants people to look.
Absolutely.
Yes. I have a number of assumptions that come with loud, obnoxious cars.
If you want the police to look at you and notice what you're doing and how you're driving, stand out in the crowd.
So here's the funniest thing. We put up a video talking about the response, what I would lay as a charge in relation to that the pickup truck cutting off the 18-wheeler. And for anyone who hasn't watched it, it's 3 videos. The first one asks for opinions as to who's at fault. The second one says, okay, we know who's at fault now. What charge would you lay if you're a police officer? And then the final one is what my opinion is. And people were upset that I wasn't looking to charge the crap out of that person with the most strict, strenuous, or impactful charge. They wanted careless driving and every other charge. And they were upset that I was too lenient. And the flip side, or the comments were very interesting. I do read comments. I'm interested in what you have to say. One person said, yeah, I get pulled over for having a modified car and given tinted plate tickets, and my parents who don't have a modified car don't get pulled over for their tinted things. So they're saying that you were targeting the people who are modifying their vehicles. So I suggested, and this is the real deal, if you look at that and take the police and the enforcement, why is it you who's getting the tickets? Well, it's probably you're noisier, modified and flying a flag of, hey, look at me, with other violations. The Mazda sedan is probably not yearning for attention.
And you know what? I hate to say it, could be driver behavior.
Ooh.
You know what? Driver behavior draws an awful lot of police attention.
Yeah, the person who's speeding, the person who's got loud music, they do make themselves a target. I pulled over a guy years and years ago who had blue license plate lights. Now, you can only have white light on your license plate, but they had blue license plate lights. And he had a dozen things wrong, and he had a dozen tickets for it. So I said to him, listen, I get you like blue, but you've created a heat score. You have got every copper who you drive by looking to pull you over because you're telling them, here is a ticket, right? It's announcing your presence. And it's a light bulb. Put a white one. Put the regulation light bulb in. I bet your life will get a lot easier. It's not like we're looking to get you because you're you. We're not looking to get you because of who you are, where you work, and what you drive, other than the fact that you've got this big flag saying, here's a ticket. I don't know.
What are the visual clues that all human beings see when they notice something? Shape, shine, silhouette, color, and movement.
Yes.
So take out auditory completely.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to see. So if your car stands out because of a different color, because of the way it's moving, because it's, the shine of it could be the lights on it. All those things are what catches our eye.
And it's not to
every
say
human being is the same for that.
Hey, you look at animals; it's all speed related. Like cats and dogs, they see speed, they see the movement, and I guess we're related to them in some way, like because it really stands out when I'm doing traffic enforcement. The one that's moving faster, it stands out like a sore thumb. Yep. So there's this really weird with the whole hands thing. I got to put my hands down. We're simple creatures. We're looking for people who are violating the rules. We have a list of them, and it's like winning the lottery. Whenever someone drives through my field of vision with a violation, I'm like, yes, wing, ding, ding, ding. Let's go pull them over and give them a ticket, because my goal is to go and write tickets.
There's, just in the Highway Traffic Act alone, there's 200 and, I think it's up to 230 sections within there. And there's a whole bunch of other rules in other laws that we look at too.
Yes.
They made a book.
It's a big book, and it's not fun to read. I've read it several times. It's not fun. Fayez wants to. Sorry, it's not only one of the things that we've done now is I put the screens farther away, so I need binoculars to read. But Fayez says or asks, can a G1 drive your car with you and have 4 years without him on your insurance policy? So, G1 driver is a learner's permit that allows you to operate a motor vehicle while being supervised by a qualified G in the passenger seat. Nobody else can be in the front seat. That G-class driver has to have 4 years experience. And the real question here was, do they have to be on your insurance policy? So most insurance providers will tell you that you don't actually have to put them there. They like to get the information. If you give them the info, they'll make a note of it, possibly, maybe, but it doesn't change your rates. The moment they get their G2, they are a occasional driver, and they have to be listed, not legally, but according to their policies.
So I read that question when you read it out. I thought it was something different. Are they asking, does the G1 have to be on the insurance, or does it mean the supervising driver with 4 years experience?
Oh.
Maybe if that's not their car, do they have to be included on the insurance?
Well, that's an interesting perspective. I hadn't read it that way.
So I would think, it's up to your insurance company. Every, insurance company makes their own rules, but as long as they're qualified, and insurance companies say, you can't have drivers that are under 25, you can't have drivers that are this, that, and the next thing.
I'm making an adjustment.
All right.
Here we go. Tighten that up. Okay.
So check with your insurance company first. Would you have liability insurance? Yes. Would everything else be covered?
Well,
maybe not.
Right. So you wreck the car, and they might say, "Well, we're not going to give them coverage." It's possible, especially if it's something that looks like it's being done on a regular basis.
Right.
Because they want people to be insured. Is citizens arrest a thing in Canada? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
under certain circumstances.
Well, yeah. Well, there's rules about everything. Even special constables have different arrest authorities than police constables, and citizens have a lower. So each one has a threshold to meet. So fines committing for indictable offenses for that of citizens, whereas special constables, generally speaking, could be different. Each one has different rules that they're sworn for and authorities given. But generally speaking, they're allowed to use RPG, reasonable probable grounds, for certain types of offenses, but other offenses they still need to be fines committing. Whereas a police officer can basically, well, they have the widest breadth.
Yep. And, and even outside of the Toronto Police Service, security guards, do they have authority to detain? Yes. But there's a whole bunch of rules, and they must do a whole bunch of things and turn them over to a police officer forthwith. But as long as you know all the rules, then you're covered. And any force that you use has to be justified.
Yeah.
And any excess you're responsible for.
Criminally.
So when I go put my hands on somebody and say, you're under arrest, if I use force on that person by touching that person, yes, it's justified. But if I use excess force, just like if a citizen did as well, they would be held accountable for that force.
Knowing a little bit is dangerous. You have to know what you're talking about, because if you act on bad information, you are likely going to be in hot water.
Yep. So the use of force in arresting somebody here is under the criminal code. I think it's section 26. But it may be different in other jurisdictions. So check with that.
It's good. Well, it's really good to the security guards get training. Individuals generally don't get training on arrest, and like I said, a little bit of information can get you into a lot of trouble. You want to know before you go. My button. There we go. We have a voice message from Jace. Let's press play.
Hey Sean. Hey Sergeant. So Sergeant, I know you like to talk about tinted headlights and tinted taillights and all that sort of stuff. I am just kind of curious though. If I take am I allowed to put different headlights on my car? Like not tinting them or change. Am I allowed to take headlights from aftermarket headlight assemblies or from a different car and put them on my car?
That's an interesting question.
Yep.
As long as they meet the regulation.
As long as they meet the regulations in Canada and they are visible for the amount of distance and they're not overly bright, absolutely. Some aftermarket headlights, they're fantastic. They work an awful lot better and they work properly. Some of them, not so much. I know ones you can get online. Maybe, I'm not going to call out them, but from overseas may not qualify.
And you can get into a lot of problems. Like I bought some LED light bulbs. So in my particular truck, the rear brake lights tend to heat up and eventually blow out. And it's just, that's the one bulb I have to keep doing. And it's a known issue with that make and model. So in researching good replacements, because I'm getting tired of opening the housing to change it, it's the only bulb that keeps going. People said they used LEDs. Now, LEDs from certain manufacturers are good. They have a design to maintain management of heat, and they don't burn out the same way. But the ones specifically made from a particular country or manufactured there, which I think everything's made there, but non-brand, they're just covered in LEDs. and they heat up way too much, and you run into risks of actually damaging the housing and creating more problems than you started with.
On the opposite of that, LEDs do not create as much heat in the bulb portion of it than incandescent light bulbs do. They have incandescent light bulbs have the ability to maybe melt some snow when it gets on there, where LEDs, I know
Interesting.
headlights are now coming with heaters on them
Get out.
because of snow buildup and ice buildup, and where the old
Maybe on the nice cars you
halogen bulb-
drive.
What's that?
Maybe on the nice cars you drive.
No, aftermarket ones are coming with heaters on them because it's an issue. It's a Canadian issue.
It's a Canadian issue. LA doesn't really care. Can I use the calibrate your radar gun to get out of a speeding ticket? Oh. Well, first of all, we don't usually counsel people as to how to get out of tickets. We issue tickets and then convict people for but I can tell you that one won't work.
Yeah, if you were to take it to court and ask for disclosure, you'd actually get the information on the radar gun used, whether it's a radar gun, whether it's an MDR, whether it's laser. You would get that, and there's really not much to argue on that. You can, but they've been making these for an awful long time, and we are trained very well on how to use them. And as long as we can get the evidence out before the justice of the peace in a proper way, there's not much wiggle room.
Well, it's just not what people think it is. We don't calibrate as police officers. We operate within the prescribed operation manual's requirements. And when you ask about what we did to calibrate it, we will tell you that we didn't. But we've tested it, and it's,
Right. We test it to make sure it's within the operating parameters.
So
we do have an expert here at traffic services.
Yes.
And he is know everything about radar, laser, speed measuring devices.
He is the man.
And he's a very smart man. And
He's also a very nice guy.
yeah, I like him. And he looks after all of our equipment here. And should you need a calibration requirement, he can provide the documents.
So we have some folks, and it's one in particular who seems to be spamming, but they would like us to know that they'd like us to go deal with real crimes, and we should stop wasting everybody's time here. I can tell you. Oh, but they also like our hairstyle, which I appreciate because I like my hairstyle too. So thank you for the.
What about lack of hair? Is that
No. This is a style. Reflective is a style. Although I got to change the lighting; it's a little too bright with her. I change the angle. In any case, reflective qualities aside, our hair rocks. There are many, many people who would pay for hair like. Well, they don't pay for hair like this, but they could have hair like this if they were only brave enough to shave their melons. In any case, to address the wasting time, you are here voluntarily. You're welcome to leave if you are not getting the value that you think you deserve. But for the folks who are here, and we have thousands of people who come and join us every single day, they're taking advantage of the opportunity to get their questions answered and learn something. We do this, and we've been doing this for a couple of years. We've had the tremendous support and success. We're over 603,000 followers on the platform of TikTok alone. We're also on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So through all of our lives and the replays of our lives, we're getting to thousands and thousands of people every single day. It is the most cost-effective way of sharing traffic safety information. So not only are we discussing traffic safety and traffic law, we're really addressing things that people can't really get answers to any other way. Hello, sir. Are you going to sit in?
No, I've nothing intelligent to say. I'm management.
our boss is here?
Yes.
So
What would you like? What do you need? Oh, we don't. I don't think we have any milk. I have a refrigerator here, but there's no milk here. I have creamers, and I can't attest to the date that they were supplied. Somewhere, it's a
think you walked in
disappearing
with it,
desk. It's- you have a case of the missing mug.
Why did you ask that? Talk to me. You could just ignore me.
I think it's over there somewhere.
I don't think you walked in with it.
No, it's right beside the kettle. It's right beside the kettle. I can see it behind the kettle. It's the mysterious, invisible. It's a magic trick, actually.
Talking about wasting time,
Now that may have been.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah, but yeah, it's perfect. I have to buy some milk now just in case this happens again. Oh, that was funny. Okay.
We have some fantastic bosses here.
Yes, we do.
And they're very supportive of what we do here. And they're very supportive of us getting the messaging out first so that you know what not to do, as opposed to having to send people out on the road to do the enforcement.
Well, the truth is that traffic education is a huge component of traffic safety. You can't just tell people don't do it. Like, we want to change your hearts and minds. We want to get the message out so that you have buy-in, you have an understanding. You know, people say, and this is a big one, speeding. People think that the speed limits are way too low. That these are archaic speed limits, and that they're punishing people by making people go so slow. In fact, it's causing trauma. It's ridiculous. People say that with modern vehicles, they're safer. It's true. They have better braking systems. They have better technology. So we should go faster? Well, no. It means that we're safer with doing the speeds that we were doing. The Autobahn doesn't have a zero death rate. There are people still dying when they go too fast. And I can tell you that a Lamborghini explodes just like a regular car, because fast means big kaboom.
You know what? The technology that was around back in the 50s, 60s, 40s, whatever, we've gotten leaps and bounds over that.
Yeah.
But the volume of traffic, the volume of pedestrians has increased exponentially since that time, and the risk is still there. So we minimize the risk.
Yeah, and we're making streets, the speeds slower, because it's not about you in the cage, first of all. As a motorcycle guy, I refer to cars as cages very often. But it's not about the person who's protected in a nice piece of equipment with all the stuff. And that's the driver who's speeding is usually just worried about themselves. It's the pedestrian that you kill when you hit them. So we know that at 60 kilometers an hour, if you go 5 more, you're more likely to kill them than if you go 5 less. So we've reduced speeds on certain zones to 30, because if you hit a pedestrian, it's likely that they're going to get up and hopefully be battered and bruised, but not dead. So it's not about you as the driver, because that was one of my first videos that hit 1 million was talking about speed. And people said, well, I got Bembo brakes, yo. Well, what does that got to do with anything? Yeah, you might be able to slow down, but you still have to be paying attention enough to see what you have to slow down for. Yeah. So you're still kill the pedestrian, right?
You know what? And it's not just pedestrians. It's cyclists and other vulnerable road users like motorcyclists. And you can attest that sometimes cars don't see motorcyclists.
In 2018, I had that person didn't see anything because he was driving from behind cover. There was a stopped vehicle, and they just drove out into traffic, and we met in the middle, and I went for a short flight. I can tell you that takeoff is easy, landing sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my old joke. I keep looking for opportunities to use it. Lisa says, don't listen to the haters. I think your podcasts are brilliant and very educational. Well, thank you very much. You can give the tip, the $5 I owe Lisa.
For boosting you up?
Yeah, much appreciated. Let's see here. Somebody wants to know, they said, now they're having it out in the chat. So someone said, you're making $100,000 a year to make TikToks? And then someone else says, I think $100,000 isn't enough pay for everything they help us on here. They should be paid more. Well, I certainly go with that user.
Yeah, and this is not all we do.
No, there's far more.
For an hour every day, we do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a whole bunch of other stuff that I have to do during the day.
Very often you don't get to come in and play because you have so many things. Because Sergeant Campbell is a sergeant, which means you're a supervisor, you're managing a team of people, you have many, many things happening. I am more focused on media relations and social media and all that jazz, but I'm still busy with stuff and things all day long. And actually, a dad joke time. I don't think we read Wednesday. No, this is today's dad joke.
Some of the good ones.
Next time. We're going to have a ton of them for next one. So we have one that came in from at the beginning of the show that I should have pinned, but I'll scroll back. And now I'll pin it so I know where it is. There we go. So first off, this is from the calendar my wife gave me. I have a friend who is always sweeping girls off their feet. He says he takes his job as a janitor very seriously. That was horrible. That was horrible. And
Sean,
you got to go.
I have to step out.
You do your thing. See, he has sergeant things to do now.
There you go.
Okay.
I will see you. I won't be back tomorrow.
Neither will I.
Be back tomorrow
because I have a thing. Okay. Thanks very much for spending time.
Bye, everyone.
So look at that. Back to solo camera. I'm impressed. So here's the dad joke that Jacob added. How many paranoid dads does it take to screw in a light bulb? This is good. Who wants to know? I love it. That was a good one, Jacob. And I know Jacob had to go to class, but I'm so glad that he shared it. All right, let's get. We've got a few minutes left. Well, really, we don't. But I'm gonna go with a few minutes because we sort of went off on a tangent and had this. What do you think of this more relaxed chat? I don't know. Sometimes we get into these speed rounds, and sometimes we don't. But yeah, let's go here. Tim says, keep up the great work. What is this? Oh, it's scrolling. Stop scrolling. Keep up the great work. If there was a TikTok when I was still in uniform, I'd be doing this too. Thank you, Tim. So does that mean you're retired? Oh, and I've requested to follow you, but you're private. Okay. Deborah says, I really love your show. Thank you so much. And let's see here. We have a goodbye, Sarge. I'll convey that afterwards. Emrinder says they have a question, but they have not asked their questions. So let's hear it. Where's the question? Oh, here's Emrinder's question. Okay, it's scrolling. These things come in. It keeps scrolling. While that's okay, we're going to read their question. I want to know if demerits in Ontario. Oh, sorry. I want to know if demerits on Ontario and I'm moving to BC, will the demerits affect getting BC? It won't prevent you from getting a license. You'll be able to transfer, but the demerit points will come with you. So that's it. Okay. We got Destiny says they love this. Thank you. You in Badge Duty, I enjoy watching your live. Steffi says, left that comment. And Badge Duty is another Sean, right? His name's Sean too. Did I get that wrong? Is that not? I'm sure his name is Sean. I'm having a mental moment. I'm positive it's the Seans. We have another Sean that works here. If we have all the Seans, Sean Jarris, right? Yeah. Is it Jarris or Garris? I'm a terrible names person. Okay. How often are accidents happen where speed is the only factor? There are so many factors. In fact, one of the number one collision causes is not speed. It is actually distraction. And people will say, well, does that mean cell phones? No, it's distraction. It could be daydreaming. And this is based on research from TURF. I get to say, I try and bring TURF into every conversation. I've got a meeting with TURF right after the show, but which is right now, actually, which means I have to go. There's so many factors. And ruling out things like daydreaming isn't something we can do. Inattentiveness is a huge problem. And we need to hit all of the problems. We need to have people who focus on driving and not, weighing off and being in their life, because your life is generally full of issues. Sorry, but people have lives and they impact the way you drive. A good day, a bad day, everything is impacted by how your life is treating you. Or in my case, how my wife is. No, I'm kidding. I love you, honey. I'm just playing. If I say my wife yells at me, I'm going to have a problem. If my wife, doesn't hug me in the morning, well, I leave before she wakes up, so I don't get hugs in the morning. But everyone's still sleeping in my house. Okay, I'm going to stop digging a hole. But the deal is that the driving that you do is impacted by so many things. So speed isn't the only thing, but speed combined with anything else is certainly an issue. Listen, race car drivers go fast and they don't always crash, but they're also professional racers who are focused on the task at hand. They're not bopping along to the tunes. They're operating a car. My buddy recently sent me, and I wish I could show you. Can I show you? Actually, I can show you. I can put this up on the screen. He sent me the steering wheel of his brand new race car. And if you had to operate this vehicle, I think you'd have an issue, because I don't know what these bloody things do. So here's his steering wheel and of his new car. That's a race car. It does stuff when you press those things, and I don't know. I know this is no airbag. Fortunately, he's strapped into the vehicle, and he's got a Hans device, and he's got a helmet. There's a roll cage, but I don't know what those things. If it's not turn signals, what do these things do? I think they're for adjusting. Like, they're monitoring the engine. They're managing a lot of things. All right, answered that, hopefully to satisfaction. If not, I can't help you. But what else can we talk about here? As I put up some tunes here, just to play us out. Is it working? There's no music. Where's the music? Here's the music. Okay, it's called Goodbye. I figured it makes sense to be playing us out. Something I neglected Noah today. Noah's sitting here on Instagram and had a question. What is the biggest challenge you faced when becoming a police officer? Well, this is a good question. We didn't really talk about anything like this before. Maybe we did. But the answer is that specifically the run. I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy. I make no excuses. I'm a big person. And big people don't like starting and stopping. Like, it's a shuttle run. You have to run to max, stop, turn around, go back the other way. I really struggled with that. It's not a matter of being able to run straight. I can run straight, but that stop and go really put stress on my knees, and it was not fun. That was my biggest struggle. It wasn't a matter of becoming able to pass the academics or anything else. It was just that run. So I trained for that run, and that run was the focus of everything I did, and I passed it. Because you know what? At a certain point, it becomes mental. It becomes simply your will to succeed. And if you can get that, if you can get over that, where you don't quit, then you can do anything. All right. I am going to say goodbye because I got to go into a meeting, and there's some other questions, and there's tons, and I'm sorry to disappoint. There are so many folks, and I appreciate that you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take I'm downloading the entire chat. Yes, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put it into a Word document. I'm going to see what I can do about making some videos based on your questions, because I just don't like leaving things undone. You know, I want to help everybody. It's both good and bad, because I want to help everybody. I don't want to leave you unanswered. But I know I can't save everybody, and I can't answer every question, but I'll do my darndest. I'll be back, not tomorrow, possibly not Friday, but for sure Monday, unless something happens. We usually do this thing Monday to Friday from 10 to 11. But like I said, there's meetings and things happening. Part of my other responsibilities, which means I can't be here in the office. But I will post content as much as possible. It's a terrible song. And we will come back and see you when we see you. Send questions. Send comments. I like to interact in our videos. So with that, we'll use this music. No, where's the music? There's the music. We'll say goodbye for another day, and I hope you have a great day. Drive safe, drive sober, and we'll see you soon. Yeah.